Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my wonderful, beautiful Disney food-loving wife and co-host, Michelle.
Hi, thank you, sweetie.
I love Disney food too.
I
Who
know.
doesn't, really? So good to have you with us. We are recording this episode, some of this episode on Sunday, April 19th, 2020. Thank you for joining us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventurespodcast.com. And while you're there, why don't you just go ahead and sign up for the newsletter?
Yeah, you will be very happy you did. It's a newsletter that Tom puts together. It gives a lot of great information about our podcast, things that are coming ahead, and just Disney things in general. And it also is a way that we can just share some information with you. We don't share your email address. That's just for us to use, but it's just to give you some additional, like I said, have another connection.
Right. None of your information goes anywhere but just to us, so we can send you this newsletter weekly. And by the way, if you subscribe to the newsletter, you had a little tease of that thing that we dropped on Friday. So you kind of had a little bit of prior knowledge to something that might have been coming up, and we hope that you very much enjoyed that. So you can also follow along with us on social media. That's where you found this thing that we dropped on Friday. We are on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, you can always email us at HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right. We love hearing from you. We really enjoy when we get information from emails, and we also love it when we get your feedback on reviews.
Right. We've gotten some great feedback over the last several weeks, months. We're coming up on years now, multiple years. We're just about a month and a half away from our 2-year anniversary.
Wow.
We're coming up on 100 episodes pretty soon here. So we really appreciate all the feedback you've given us on so many of those shows and just the show in general. Thank you so much for all of that. As for today's episode, we have lots of stuff for you, including some wonderful guests that are about to join us to speak about this topic we're about to get into. But let's get into that main topic. We're going to get into the meat of it first. So these people know all about it. We're not boring them with the numbers, but we think that this is something that you need to know going into this so you can make an informed conclusion on whether or not you want to put this as part of your next Walt Disney World vacation, and that is the Disney dining plan.
That was really a remarkable song, honey. What a great transitional song. I thought you put funk in the funky newsletter, and now even in our music transition pieces. That's awesome.
Who would have expected when we started this Disney podcast that somewhere along the line, the Fat Boys would be making an appearance on our Disney podcast?
I don't know. Not me, but that was great.
Anyway.
I love it.
I love every week trying to find these funky song, the funky newsletter and the funky songs to put into this. But let's go ahead and get down before we bring our guest on to the meat of the Disney dining plan.
Right. So there's actually 4 different plans. They added a newer one more recently. And so as Tom mentioned, before our guests come on, we just kind of want to give you information. Obviously, you can get this from the Disney World website, but we just kind of want to go over a little bit here before the interview takes place so that you have some knowledge of what the plans consist of. So in the plans, each of them have a little variation, but they all include a couple things. First of all, they are involving for parties of age 3 years and up, and they all have a resort refillable drink mug. And so that mug can be used to, get free refills on sodas and things at the quick service hotels, at the quick service locations at the resorts.
Anywhere where you can go and load your own fountain drink, essentially, right?
Right. The other things that are included in all of their Disney dining plans are that beverages are included with each meal, and the specific number of meal options or snacks is determined by the number of nights included in the package. So you can actually roll over things from different days and redeem them in different orders throughout your stay. So you don't have to say, okay, here's the plan I have for today, and I have to use all those meal functions or elements in one day.
Yeah, you don't have to do two meals and 2 snacks,
right, or whatever
single day
you get.
Yeah.
Right, you can use it throughout.
For example, yeah.
Right, and there's 3 ways that you can track your dining plan entitlements. That's what they're called, entitlements. So on the My Disney Experience app, you can, when you look at your most recent food receipt, it'll give you what the balance is, or you can visit any of the resort concierge or guest relations location, and they can look it up for you.
Cool.
So, yeah. So let's go through the actual different plans they have. So the first one that I'll describe here is called the Disney Quick Service Dining Plan. And that one is where you actually just dine at the quick service locations. You can have 2 meals per day for everyone in your party, ages 3 and up. And you also get 2 snacks or non-alcoholic drinks. And as I mentioned before, the resort mugs. So, I'm sure we'll hear more from our guests, but to me, when I read that, I was thinking, especially when you have kids, that you might just want to go to something that is easy to access, even with mobile ordering.
Right. If you're not going to a table service restaurant regularly, or even don't have any plans to do that, you're just kind of going in between attractions, don't want to maybe set a reservation time. You're just kind of doing things on the fly.
Right.
Yeah.
The next one is called the Disney Dining Plan, and you can have 1 table service as well as a quick service meal for everyone in your party. And that considerations for the table service is that there are some what they call signature dining experiences that do take 2 of your table service credits per meal. So this is like when we talked about the rollover. So you might hold on to one day where you don't go to a table service and roll that quick service meal to another day or use for a future day.
Yeah, those would be kind of the bigger name restaurants that you can dine at, the table service restaurants like Be Our Guest,
right,
or Topolino's Terrace, for that matter, I think is signature
I think
dining.
That's what they're saying,
some of the bigger names, some of the more what you would consider more upscale,
right, character dining.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Right. So you'll need to use 2 credits for those.
Right, and these are really easy to find. They're listed. You can even do search restaurant locations by the Disney dining plan. So and again, with that one you also get 2 snacks per day. Then the newest one is called the Disney Dining Plan Plus. So this one gives you 2 meals, and they can be used at table service or quick service. There you still might need to use 2 table service for the specialty signature dining locations, but you get 2 of those as well as the 2 snacks. And then they have the Disney Deluxe Dining Plan. This, to me, when I'm reading this one, think more of a kind of like when you look at all-inclusive. So it provides for 3 meal credits per day, and that can be in any combination of quick service, table service, however you want to choose for that, as well as, again, 2 snacks per day. So those are the different plans that, as I mentioned, they go from quick service to where you get 3 meals per day at tables. That could be table service or quick service. And so just to kind of give you some ideas as we go into this interview with some really wonderful people who have experienced Disney dining plan packages for years now.
And obviously those they get more expensive as you go along.
Right.
So that's something to weigh into it as well, how much you'll need it. Also, I know you're mentioning the meals there. It's not like when you go, if you put in a meal voucher or whatever you want to call it, credit, for the meal that is just an entree. It's not your meal is actually a full meal, and that's like usually an appetizer. Not talking about quick service, but for like at the table service, it's like an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert.
Correct.
And oftentimes, like you said, a beverage as well. Sometimes alcoholic beverages are included.
Right, for those 21 and older.
Right.
Yeah. So
again, really, my the 8-year-old kid can't do Mai Tai while he's out there. Well, sorry, Charlie.
Right. And obviously, you may choose to purchase, like some specialty drinks or, whatever when you're at any of these table service. But it was interesting in researching for today to see such variety in these plans. Like you said, obviously, the variety in terms of the cost, but just in terms of the features that they have, and trying to, before even talking to anybody, try to think again, how would this work with, us? We're two adults typically who are going to Walt Disney World. But if we're going with family or people who are bringing kids, how would they make decisions on which plan to use?
Very cool. I can't wait to hear more about this. Again, we know, we just went over the numbers here, without the price essentially, because that will vary depending on when you're staying.
Yeah, I believe so. And there's also, the prices are per day, in terms of how you pay for it. So you're paying per day or actually per night. And the other thing is there are different times of the year that they may have special offers for Disney dining. Sometimes they offer free Disney dining plan with your resort reservation. So the best thing to do is once you're making your reservations is to take a look at, do you want to add this on? And you don't have to do it at the time of your reservation. Even if you're doing like Vacation Club, if you're going to Disney Vacation Club, you can go to their website and add that on as you're planning. You don't have to do it at the time you're securing your reservation.
Cool. And we'll get more into that here in just a moment. But obviously it's a lot to go through, and we can see all the different numbers there, all the different information, but it doesn't mean a lot to us until we put it together with somebody who has actually used it. So let's get to the people who have really experienced the Disney dining plan, because we've not done it.
No.
We've gone to Walt Disney World many, many times, and we've never used the Disney dining plan. So we figured, let's get someone with some expertise on the subject and bring them in, right?
Exactly. People who have used it, who find it a very favorable thing to do when they're on their trip. And we're so pleased that they're going to be able to join us and share that information with you all. Yeah,
we've been trying to bring them on for a while. We finally were able to lock down a time and a great topic to bring them on. This is Will and Jalesa Young. They make up Young Adventures. You can find them on YouTube, them and their children. They do a wonderful YouTube channel. Will, Jalesa, thank you so much for joining us on the Hyperion Adventures podcast.
Absolutely. We're so glad to be here. Thank you.
And we want to point out
having us.
Sure. And we want to point out Adventures with a Z.
That just makes it easier on all the handles.
That's right. That's right. Easier to track down, for sure. So let's get into your story to begin with here. Let's talk a little bit about how you developed your love for Disney and why you decided to turn that love kind of into this new enterprise, this YouTube channel.
Yeah, of course. So it kind of started, obviously, you guys know that I grew up at Disney. My dad worked there for a long time, so we spent a lot of times, me and my brother and sister kind of grew up always going to Disney. Right. And then when me and my wife Jalesa got married, we bought into DVC, and that's been kind of something that's a special thing for our family ever since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, you all were the ones that convinced us finally to to purchase.
So, okay, so you go off and you live in Florida, so you go to the parks fairly often. What would you say is both of yours favorite Disney parks as well as your favorite Walt Disney World attraction?
Oh, good question. So for me, the park is definitely Epcot. Like, I just love the technology and everything behind that. And like I said, kind of growing up at Disney, Epcot to me is what motivated me to become an engineer and just to kind of appreciate technology.
Nice.
So Yeah, I love Epcot. I love everything about it. And then attraction, that's a good question. Do you have a favorite park?
I don't have a favorite park. I've always said that picking a favorite Disney park is like choosing your favorite food. Pick pizza or ice cream.
Nice.
And
A good point.
Right.
they're all so different. Although, with that being said, the nostalgia of Magic Kingdom gets me every time.
Right.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I think for me too is that if you have a favorite park, if you go there over and over again, you kind of get drawn to the other parks. Like you realize what you're missing from the other parks.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Favorite attraction, I'm gonna go with Spaceship Earth just because of the history of it and
Right.
the nostalgia of that's something you have to do when you go to Epcot, right? Like you can't
Right.
leave the park without doing Spaceship Earth.
Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
What about you, Jalisa?
Yeah, we ride on Spaceship Earth whether or not our kids are prepared for it or awake before we leave Epcot. Favorite attraction? I'm not sure. I just I like the simple things that Disney brings, like riding on the carousel,
Right.
or just the special parades, or the people singing on Main Street, or things that you don't really go to Disneyland or to Disney for. Just things
Right.
that sort of pop up and surprise you.
Yeah, those little pieces of Disney magic that you find everywhere, right?
Yeah.
We love that. We love just being at the park and looking around. And attraction wise, we kind of just hop on whatever's available, whatever the shortest wait times are. But definitely just being in the park is what we enjoy.
Sure.
Totally understand that. That's kind of what we get. I mean, most people who go to Walt Disney World, they're there on vacation a lot of times. But when you're local, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do depending on how the day flows. It's kind of like what we experience with Disneyland. A lot of people come to visit Disneyland and, they want to make sure they get on all these attractions, do all these certain things. We go up there, we're like, if we do that, that's great. If not, so I can kind of understand where your point of view might be in regards to that.
Yeah.
It's really cool too also that you both bring a really unique perspective that you don't hear about as much when people are talking about Disney and their love of Disney. Like Jalesa, you're talking about, the nostalgia of it and maybe not focusing on attractions, but the experience that you have when you're there. And that's really cool because that you don't hear about too much. A lot of times people are right away talking about something favorite either in terms of a ride or food, and Will, the fact that you're talking Epcot and the issue of technology where I would say probably 90% of the people we've talked to talk Epcot and the countries. So this is kind of refreshing, getting a new perspective or new focus on the same park.
So true.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So what about movies? Let's talk about Disney movies. Disney, and we're going to encompass everything. Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel. Like, I know it's tough to pick. It's like, trying to pick from, what type of food you enjoy because they're all so different, just like Jalesa said. But is there a movie or a couple of movies that really stand out to you as your favorites? Like you'll go back and watch them at any opportunity.
We've really been enjoying Aladdin, both the animated and the new one with the real people. What's that called?
Live action.
Live action.
Yeah, live action.
Nice.
All my children have been enjoying the live action of it. I grew up really loving Aladdin, and I still love it even as a mom. The Little Mermaid I also really loved as a child growing up, but as a mom it just really bothers me how disobedient she was.
I love it.
See, people in like our second episode, I put on King Triton on our list as best fathers and Disney fathers, and people got on me about it. And I'm like, no, you don't know what he had to deal with as a parent. You understand, rebellious teenager. Anyway, sorry, I love that.
Yeah,
what about you,
awesome.
Will?
Yeah, I have to obviously point to Frozen.
Yeah.
The magic that is Frozen.
Hashtag real men love Frozen.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we love Frozen. And I mean, honestly, there is some kind of magic to it because we went and saw it when Joy was a little girl and she just latched on and loved it. Our son Isaiah, he loves that movie. And then just recently, Alana, our youngest, has just grown into just love that movie. And I don't know what it is about it, but just everybody loves Frozen. How could you not, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. I can't agree more. Personally, you know that about me. So, So you've been blessed to be able to obviously get to Walt Disney World several times. Is there anything like that's a Disney bucket list that you haven't had to be able to do to this point that you really, really like? At some point, we are going to make sure we go ahead and do this, either just the two of you or as a family.
Oh, that's so easy for me. Victoria and Albert's.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
It's a super fancy restaurant at in Grand Floridian.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so we want to do that too.
Yeah, that's on our list too.
Yeah, we haven't done that. That would be great. There's a ton of Adventures by Disney that, obviously we haven't done any of those, but
Right.
I think almost any of those would be great. We haven't done a Disney cruise before. We've done a cruise. Our kids are kind of crazy, so we've done a cruise before, and it was more stress than it was enjoyable trying to chase our kids around and keep them from falling off the
I still feel
ship.
scarred from it.
Well, see, that's what's great about a Disney cruise, though. That would not be the same scenario. And your kids are dolls. They're awesome, and they're the most well-behaved kids I've ever met.
Yeah, we definitely have to get you guys together on when we start booking Disney cruises again here. And let's try and get one together, because that'd be a lot of fun, I think, for all of us.
Definitely.
On the same ship at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like a Disney cruise might be the cruise that we would enjoy.
Yeah.
I think so. I think there's no question, as Disney fans that you guys are, I think that would be great. And it would be perfect for your YouTube channel. And I kind of talked about it a little bit, but before we get fully into the main topic, let's talk a little bit more about your YouTube channel. Again, you obviously decided to move into this space because of your love for Disney. What kind of videos, if people are going to go search you out on YouTube, what kind of videos can they find there? And what kind of inspired you to move more in that direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our YouTube channel is called Young Adventures, and the goal is to follow the adventures of us. We're the Young family, right? So basically any adventures that we're going on, we're trying to see what we're doing. Overall, that started because a long time ago, I bought a video camera and I wanted to video our family and just kind of keep a record of that so we could see it, well into the future. We could look back and see what we had done.
Right.
And then about a year ago, Joy was working on a school project about bridges. And so we started working on a video for that. And we thought, this is a really cool thing that we can just make a video and then we can show it to either her classmates or her teachers and kind of show what she was learning through that. We actually haven't finished that video yet.
That's great.
But kind of the key to that was that we realized that if we make these videos and we post them on the internet, then we can keep a better track of what we're doing over time, and I don't have to keep old hard drives and keep track of what we're doing. So we thought, and that's kind of the key to it, is that we're trying to make videos that we want to watch later, but we realize that other people might want to see this too, right?
Right.
So if we can make videos of, we go to Disney all the time, maybe people want to see that, or we spend time researching things and learning things as part of our kids' homeschooling. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's something that people would want to see too.
Sure.
So we're just kind of trying to document that. It's kind of for us, but it's also something that I think other people would like to see too.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm a little biased here, but one of the videos you guys put together just happens to be the recreation of a dish we put together on the Disney Dishes blog, which is when you put together the ratatouille from Ratatouille. We did that on the Disney Dishes blog, and then you recreated it with all the kids and the whole family together and everything, and it was a great video.
Yeah, we definitely need to do more of that kind of thing. But one of the goals too is when we made a YouTube channel was I figured if we try and just find something that we can do every week, then we can post a video every week, right?
Sure.
And so what can we do every week that would be fun? And we thought, maybe cooking together. And we definitely were fans of your of that channel, and we could see what you were making. And so we could do that, right?
You did too.
Yeah, it was so good. I loved it. It was so fun.
It was fun. It was adorable. I think having the kids involved in it too really made it so special and so enjoyably entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally
Definitely,
cool.
definitely.
All right, so now we're on to food. Why don't we go ahead and get to the Disney
That's
dining plan?
true.
Now, as we just talked about, Michelle and I have never done the Disney dining plan, but you guys have put it to use many, many times during your trips to Walt Disney World. So we kind of wanted to know a little bit more about it, what you think about it, and we'll kind of run through it and find some questions that on how it can be best used and to help some of our listeners decide if it's right for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's start out with, okay, when you're looking at the Disney dining plan, first of all, can you just lay down, I mean, we've kind of gone over the numbers and everything, but like in more layman's terms, how does the Disney dining plan work?
Yeah, good question. And like you said, you've already explained it a little bit as to how it actually works. But the goal is that you pay in advance and then your food is covered while you're there on vacation, right? And so there's some benefits to that and some drawbacks to that. And I think for us, the goal is always trying to figure out, are we getting our money back
Right.
when we use the dining plan? So I'm sure we'll go into more detail about that. but-
Right. Are there some things that factor in that make it maybe an easier decision? Like, is length of the time that you're going to be there more of a favorable factor, or something that you even consider, or maybe that's not even something that is really impactful when you're deciding?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. So I'll kind of explain this a little bit more, how we use it. And so there are times that we like to use a dining plan and times that we don't.
Right.
There's a lot of time, and we live close to Disney, so there's a lot of times that we'll go to Disney and we're not going to use the dining plan.
Sure.
Even if we're staying on property, there's times that we don't always want to use it. So for us, one of our key tips, one of our favorite ways to use a dining plan is to be able to spread it over more days. So when you buy the dining plan, you're paying per night of your stay. So if you're staying, one thing we'll do a lot is we'll stay 2 nights,
Right.
but we'll split it over 3 full days.
Oh, okay.
So if we're going to go to Disney, we'll start our vacation Friday morning. And let's say that we're staying Friday night and Saturday night.
Right.
We're going to try and split our dining plan over all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday.
Nice.
So if you get the deluxe dining plan, we're going to get 3 meals per night stay.
Right.
Right. So we'll have the dining plan. If we're staying Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're only paying for 2 nights. So we'll get 6 meals total.
Gotcha.
But we'll split that, right? So we're going to use a dining plan, two meals on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday, and then we'll just pay for our own breakfast or something.
Sure.
Because you can get a little bit more bang for the buck if you use it on lunch and dinner.
Gotcha.
So to us, it's more valuable to use it on something like that, like a 2-night stay instead of a longer stay, because you can take less meals and split it over more days, because you get a lot with a dining plan.
Right.
Yeah, especially with the deluxe dining plan, you're going to have appetizer, entree, and dessert per person.
And
Right.
drink.
And
Yes.
drink, right?
Always
Yeah,
important.
Yeah.
Always
And-
important.
And sometimes at some restaurants, your drink comes with your meal. So on the dining plan, you get a drink and a meal. But if your drink comes with your meal, you also get your beverage from the dining plan. So you get 2 drinks.
Nice.
So you could get some sort of like specialty drink. What Will is talking about is the way we use the Disney dining plan after we bought it for 1 day for every day we stayed. I remember the first time we did the Disney dining plan, we stayed for 3 or 4 days, I think, and bought it for 3 or 4 days, and we ate like breakfast at a really like a fancy dining place, and lunch at a fancy dining place, and dinner at a fancy dining place, and then all the snacks and all the beverages plus like the fancy drink shakes. And I was so stuffed, I could not it was just becoming unenjoyable because there was so much food, I just couldn't eat it all. So we started staying like 1 extra day and spreading out the Disney dining plan a little longer, taking home a box. Like, we don't go to a buffet, so we can take home a box of food with us, or put it in our fridge and then eat it for breakfast or lunch the next day.
Right.
To like spread that out and make it more enjoyable and less like, do I have to eat this dessert?
Well, it's also important, when you're talking about the Disney dining plan, from what you guys are saying there, that, obviously you don't need to, when you think of a plan, and you're getting these meals every day, that you have to use them every day. But you can, from what you guys are saying, you can obviously pick and choose. Oh, today I want to use 3 of the meals, and tomorrow maybe I'll only use 1 because we're doing some other things. Maybe we have a ticketed event we're going to where we're going to get a lot of food there, or whatever the case may be. So you can kind of pick and choose from how you want to distribute those meals throughout your trip. Is that correct, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. You can split it up over the trip, and you can also split it up among people. So you pay for the Disney dining plan based on the number of people in your room, but you can also apply that to different people. So if you have other people visiting for one meal, you can use any of your meals to help those people cover their meals.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely kind of playing that game of distributing your meals can help a lot because it is a lot of food.
Sure. So maybe that kind of, with that in mind, and there are different types of plans, obviously, do you feel that there's a different strategy based on whether you're all adults or family with kids?
Yeah, good question. Overall, I don't think there is a lot. One kind of key feature is your quick service meals don't differentiate between kids meals and adult meals.
Okay.
So even if you have kids that are listed in your hotel room, they are allowed to get adult meals on the quick service restaurants, but that doesn't work for the table service. So for table service, they have to get kids meals if they're kids.
Gotcha.
So that means you could give one kid and 2 kids one adult meal if you could get away with that with your children.
Right.
Or like feed my 9-year-old one adult meal since she's so hungry all the time.
Growing girl.
Yeah, I saw her last picture. She's so tall now.
She's taller than Michelle now?
She's got to be taller than me by now.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be taller than me soon.
Well, then speaking of that, when you purchase the plan, you have to do the same plan for each person in the room, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. So then again, does kids play into it too much to decision making, or is it easier just to say, okay, this is what, because of what we're planning to do, we're going to go with, like you're saying, either the Disney Deluxe or something else?
Yeah, I don't know if we play into that a lot. One thing I will say is that when we plan to use a Disney dining plan, we plan our vacation around that.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times we'll do a trip to Disney where we're not going to use the Disney dining plan and we're focused on the rides and our fast passes and everything. But probably one, maybe 2 times a year that we're going to use Disney dining plan, we're gonna mold our vacation around that. Like our goal is to find the restaurants that we want to go to, make sure we get those reservations, decide kind of the meals that we want to get, figure out where we want to have lunch and where we want to have dinner. So our vacation, the rides that we go on and everything else is kind of secondary to that Disney dining plan. Because the goal is to get our money back, right, on the Disney dining plan. So if we're spending a lot of money up front on the Disney dining plan, we want to make sure that we're getting our money back by the restaurants that we go to. And that's not always as good if you're just going to go on attractions and stuff. If your goal is your normal Disney vacation, you might not get your money back if you just kind of do whatever you want for dining.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Totally makes that's a good point. Definitely. So for those of our listeners out there who are trying to decide, they have maybe a Walt Disney World vacation coming up, and they're trying to decide whether they want to add on the Disney dining plan, what kind of tips would you give them to kind of help them decide on should we do it or should we just go ahead and just purchase meals as they come as the trip evolves?
Yeah, good question. I guess that depends on what their goal is for this particular vacation. So if their goal is to really enjoy all of Disney and the attractions and everything, what I would say is plan out your vacation ahead of time and look at what maybe restaurants or what meals you want to do, and then see if that lines up with what would make sense for the dining plan. So does that make sense? So you're kind of fundamentally trying to decide what you want to do on this vacation. And I guess that was my point when you asked about do kids matter or not. For us, a lot of times with kids, when we go to Disney, that just means a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
Like, are we going to make it to a particular lunch at a particular time?
Sure.
For us with kids, it's a lot easier to say we're just going to grab food when we're ready to grab food.
Right.
And we're going to make sure that we get back to the hotel for nap time when they're ready for nap time.
Right.
And so we have a lot more uncertainty in our trip when we have kids. or when our goals are different.
Right.
And with that uncertainty, the Disney dining plan becomes a little bit more difficult.
Right.
But if it's just me and Jalesa going on a trip, it's a lot easier to kind of plan things out and make better use of the dining plan.
Right. Right.
Also, think about how much of a foodie are you? Are you the kind of person who wants to order the steak and the lobster every single time? Or are you the vegetarian?
Right.
Because if you're the latter, it's that's the cheaper option. It's not really worth it to get the Disney dining plan if you're
Sure.
just going to order like the cheapest thing every single time. When you do go out, it's fun to be able to choose the most expensive item and not actually have to pay for it.
Right.
But one giant caveat and major tip is you still have to pay tips.
That's right.
Good point. That's a good
We
point.
have paid hundreds of dollars for the Disney dining plan and then left paying another $150 in tips just because you still have to pay tips on the really fancy food that you're
Right.
eating.
Yeah.
And that gets pricey.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a good point because I'm
Right.
sure that's not something you really think about when you think, oh, okay, well, all our food's taken care of. We don't have
Right.
to worry about this now. We don't have to put that into the budget, but obviously you do need to think about it if you're going to begin some of the more upscale restaurants
Right.
around Walt Disney World. So that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Now, obviously we hear every once in a while and everybody gets really excited. It's like, oh, free Disney dining comes around. Okay. But usually a lot of times when that happens, there's also some sort of room rate deal that comes at the same time, but they don't work together. You can't use both of them. So do you have any tips on deciding between what's better, the room rate or the free Disney dining, or is it again the same thing? Like it just depends on what you're looking for out there.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're looking for, and we have DVC, so we generally don't get those deals. But yeah, I think it's about once a year those deals come out where you can get free dining or, like you said, the reduced pricing on the rooms. I think at that point, generally, from what I've seen, the dining deal is a little bit better. Like you get a little bit more bang for your buck in that.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, if you're the kind of person who likes to have things pre-planned out, the dining plan makes a lot more sense because once it's paid for, it's done. Other than, like we said, tips.
Right.
But that is one big advantage of the dining plan is at least you can go into it not knowing. Like if you pay for it ahead of time, you get that benefit of just kind of a little bit less stress and dealing with your vacation, that you're not worried about the price of every meal.
Right. Now, when you go to a restaurant, and I guess this question maybe I know that for some signature table service, they'll sometimes charge you 2 credits versus 1.
Yeah.
But is
Yep.
there ever, like when you're going there, and I know that every time we go there, that's the first question: are you on a dining plan? Do they ever give you like a different menu or say these items on the menu are excluded from the dining plan?
I don't think I've ever seen anything where something is excluded from the dining plan. There's definitely extras that you can pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times they'll have extra add-ons or extra sides that they'll say this isn't included, so you got to pay
Right.
separately for that.
That makes sense.
But no, in our experience, definitely when you have the dining plan, we don't normally feel like we're limited to what we can get. We definitely can get pretty much as we want to get. Everything on the menu is available.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and you brought up the 2 dining plans. That's definitely one thing. If we want to go to one of those restaurants that
Right.
requires 2 dining plans, those are the vacations that we're going to go to those restaurants on. Because like I said, we always end up with way too much food when we're doing the dining plan.
Right.
So definitely being able to, split the dining plan meals where you can, planning a vacation around going to one of those restaurants where you're going to use 2 dining plans helps a lot.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Are there other tips that you would say how to maximize the plan, how to make sure, that you're getting your value for it? I mean, I think Jalesa's explanation of if you're tending to get things that are going to be lower price on the menu anyways, you're not maximizing it. But other than that, are there things to consider to really make sure when somebody purchases it that they're like, hey, yeah, I'm getting real value out of this?
One thing we haven't mentioned yet are the snacks. I really enjoy the snacks on
Right.
it. I think if you are going to get a snack, I think get a snack that is like $6 and up, like a higher end snack. There's a lot of snacks out there that doesn't seem like a snack, but it'll say like it'll have a little sticker of a Disney snack or whatever.
Nice.
Little icon, and you can get away with it. There's like $6 to $8 snacks out there.
Wow.
That are pretty massive looking.
Nice.
I think we've had one for even $9 before. Anyway, another thing is don't ever not use up all your snacks. Is that grammatically correct?
Right.
Sometimes if we like have too much food and we're like our stay is over, we'll stop by like the Main Street Bakery and buy a couple of like Rice Krispie treats to go or something, so that we can like take home a little bit of Disney with us.
Nice.
In that sense, always use up your snacks in some form.
Right.
Yeah, and talking about snacks, one of the really cool things is a lot of the Epcot festivals, the festival booths will allow you to use the snacks for some of their smaller items or even some of the bigger items.
Wow.
So definitely, yeah, if you're at like Food and Wine Festival or Festival of the Arts or something like that, a lot of times, like we've done that before where all of our snacks will just go into one afternoon of hitting all the booths of the Food and Wine Festival or something like that. Because I think those are some of the best deals you can get on the snack items.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point because I think a lot of times people think a Disney snack, okay, it's like a Mickey pretzel or a churro or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But when you could put it to use it with such a better advantage, and I love the idea of like, especially if you're only going to hit Epcot maybe one day during the festival or whatever, to just use all those snack credits on one day. That just totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I would much rather use them on several of the small plates and try different things around the festival than just, I mean, again, nothing wrong with a churro or Mickey pretzel or whatever, or Dole Whip or whatever the case may be. But I think that you get much better value, obviously, out of using them at the festival. That's cool. What a great tip.
Yeah. Definitely. So my next question really, and it'll show my lack of knowledge of the whole program, but and you mentioned about molding your vacation to using the dining plan if that's, your goal in that particular trip. So are you able to, let's say you hadn't even thought about dining plan, you're making your reservations, for your resort as well as your restaurants, and then you look at it and say, wow, I think it might be beneficial to add on a dining plan, and that's acceptable?
Yeah, absolutely. If you already have the reservation, you can call them back and say that you want to add the dining plan. I've done it, I think, the day before.
Nice.
So, yeah, so they definitely allow that to add on to any package, as long as you have that reservation.
Right.
And if you have one, you could probably upgrade one to like a higher level if you'd like as well. Just pay a little more.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, because sometimes you might be like, you know what? Kind of feeling like going to be our guest, maybe we got that reservation after all. Do you believe it? So maybe we might want to, bump this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Has there been any particular thing that you can think of that when you had the dining plan, you were truly surprised, like, wow, I can't believe I just managed to get this because I had the dining plan?
Nothing in particular, but it is definitely very nice to be in the restaurant and that full menu is available to you.
Right.
I think that's something that's special to Disney is that when they say we're going to give you everything, they give you everything.
Nice.
And so that was nice. That just being able to look at the menu and then ask, hey, is it okay if we get this or is it okay if we get that? And it's always, that's part, you get whatever entree you want that's available to you.
Nice.
I think there's been times that I want to say, like, we've almost gotten too much. Like, we get an appetizer and it says, this serves two. And they're like, yeah, that's only one of them. Like, yeah, the other person can also get one of those appetizers.
Wow.
We've definitely never had the dining plan and thought, man, I wish we got more food. Like, it's always way more than we expected to get.
That's funny.
But it's fun. It's fun to find things and to see things come out to you that you never would have really put the money down for.
Right.
Otherwise, if we hadn't been on the Disney dining plan, we'd be like, I'll have a salad and the pasta, please.
Right.
I think that's especially true of like the appetizers that are included in some of these meals or whatever. And like you go and you're like, do I really want an appetizer? You know, I pay for that, and then I'm gonna have an entree and a dessert or whatever.
Right.
And I guess the same goes for dessert. Do I really want to splurge on a dessert when I can go get a Mickey bar or whatever the case may be? But when it's all there for you, I mean, I'm sure you can. You know what? I wasn't sure I'm going to try an appetizer, but I'm going to try this thing I never tried because it's included in the price. Why not? Why not?
That's so true. It is really fun and exciting to have the menu in front of you and know you can choose any of the appetizers or any of the entrees and also a dessert. And it's like, oh my goodness, it's so exciting. It's still like the third day, and then you're like, oh my gosh, please stop the food.
But that's definitely true. Like you said, there's a lot of desserts. I'm not a big dessert person, but there's a lot of desserts I've tried just because it was included. And then I said, wow, this is really good.
Yeah. And even if and that's another thing is like it's included in the price. So, even if I just want to try it and try 2 bites, I mean, at least I sampled it and I was going to pay for it. I'm kind of paid for it one way or the other. So why not, give it a shot? It's kind of the same thing.
I think in some form, the Disney dining plan is definitely paying for experiences, which I find highly valuable.
Yeah,
nice.
I agree with that. Totally. Yeah. Totally. So.
Is there a particular plan that you tend to use, or again, do you pick the plan based on what your goals are for that trip?
Kind of both. And the point is, we almost always, if we're going to get a dining plan, we get the deluxe dining plan, just because that's the one that gives you the opportunity to be able to get more value than you're spending on it. With the quick service dining plan, I feel like generally at best you're going to try to break even with it. And for us, if we're doing quick service, the goal of quick service is to be very flexible, to be able to kind of do whatever we want to do. And with the dining plan, you're kind of fighting against that. So to us, we're almost always, if we're going to do a dining plan, we're doing the deluxe dining plan, which kind of gives you the most opportunity.
Sure.
So, okay, we know we've talked about the snack credits a little bit already, and I just have some fun questions here for the end based on the snack questions. One, I want to know if you can think of what's the most interesting item you've used for a snack credit for, and also on that last day, we see it all the time with many people with the Disney dining plan. You've talked a little bit about it. You have all these snack credits left, and they're in there buying Mickey bars and all this stuff trying to fill it out. How many do you think is if you can recall, are the most snack credits you had at the end, and you were just buying up like Rice Krispie treats and cookies and whatever it could be just to fill it up?
I don't think it was very many. I can't remember any more than 2 or 3. What do you think?
I definitely remember having a trip where we had 7 items left.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Nice.
I knew it.
Yeah, we were bringing everything home, and we had like a week after our vacation of enjoying Disney snacks.
Awesome. That's great.
I don't remember that.
Oh, that's so funny. What about it? Was there a unique item you remember using a snack credit for that you're like, wow, that was really cool that this snack credit paid for this really awesome thing that you wouldn't, expect to be able to be used as a snack credit?
Yeah, I think the first time that we used snacks credits at the Food and Wine Festival, I don't think we knew it. We just walked up to one of the food booths and we saw the icon for Disney snack credit on one of the items, and it was just so exciting to be able to get what we thought was like a meal as part of the snack credit.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Do you find the refillable drink mug something that's beneficial, or is that just kind of like an extra that you have it, but do you really utilize it?
That depends on how much soda you drink. It was not worth it at all for me because I drink water.
Right.
Almost exclusively. So I would have how much is it now? 20 something a day. I don't know how much it is, but I would have it filled up with water, and it was just ridiculous. It was not worth it at all for me.
Right.
For Will, it was worth it because he loves soda and he loved to be able to have that option to choose whatever soda he wanted. At one point, we even got it for our children. I did not like that. You do not need more sugar.
Right.
Yeah. I think even for me, enjoying the soda, it's not something that we factor into the cost of it. So if we're trying
Gotcha.
to balance out the budget and decide if we want to pay for the dining plan, we
Right.
definitely don't include that as a feature. But it is kind of a cool thing to have, and that's part of the Disney dining plan. Is just
Sure.
having that kind of all-inclusive enjoyment of a vacation. I think we have like 20 of them in our kitchen cabinet right now. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a fun thing to be able to go down to the when you're in the hotel to just be able to go down. You're going to the
Right.
pool and you can fill up your soda on the way.
Sure.
It's definitely a fun thing to have, but not necessarily a valuable thing to have. It's also kind of a small cup, so when you fill it with ice and soda, the soda doesn't last a very long time.
Gotcha.
But it's a fun feature to be, and the kids love it obviously to
Sure.
be able to go and fill up the soda in between trips to the lobby and back to your room and everything. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I'm used to carrying around my water bottle anyway, so I'm sort of I already had that, so I
Right.
didn't need another cup.
Yeah.
And also the dining plan gives you a beverage at every single meal as well.
Right.
So I just felt overwhelmed with all of the beverage options there.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you have to decide if you really want to carry it out of the hotel room or not. Like it's another thing to carry,
Right.
but
Sure. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like your point. Well, it makes sense, like if you're going to the pool or whatever, something like that. But going to the parks, do you want to lug that thing around with you when you're going to be getting your drinks and meals, anyways? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But it is, I guess, a little extra souvenir that you get along with it, and
Yeah.
since it's included anyway, you're not paying anything extra for
Right.
it. So
Yeah. You know, another plug for the cruise is that's what the kids would love, that they have the
that's what they would love.
soda
That's not what you would
station.
love. Yeah. The free soda, the soda station.
But it is separate from the ice cream station, so at least they have to go a little bit of a distance to try to capture both of those treats.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I think they covered it pretty well,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Are there any questions or things that you think we didn't ask you about that you thought would be pretty good information to share?
Yeah, so one thing I want to say about the Disney dining plan is it's good to plan ahead and decide if you want it, but you don't want to stress over it, especially once you have it.
Right.
One thing I knew when we first got the dining plan is every restaurant we would go to, I would try and say like, I have to buy the most expensive thing, and it's like
Right.
this menu has lobster on it, I gotta get it. And I
Right.
don't really care for lobster, but I'm gonna get that anyway because it's the most value for my buck. But definitely once you have it, enjoy the benefit of being able to get whatever you want on the menu, and then use that to your advantage to choose what you want to get on the menu. So don't
that
feel
makes sense.
locked into having to get your value for your buck. Pay for it ahead of time,
Right.
and then once you have it, enjoy your meal however you can.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's kind of like the sip and savor plans at, the Food and Wine and things too, that, you feel like, okay, for every little ticket or tab, you have to get the most expensive thing. And yeah, you're right. Then it deters from the experience that you're there to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just more something that, Disney is doing so many things to try and make your trips so easy for you that you don't have to think about when you go. You can have it all plotted out ahead of time. To add on your stress, I mean, it can be
Right.
vacation. You're supposed to be on vacation. You're supposed to be having fun. Don't worry
Right.
about the value of this item versus that item. If you were going to be heading down there and paying money for
Right.
it on site as well, I mean, you would still pay for the less item if that's what you want. It doesn't
Right.
really matter. Lesser priced
Exactly.
item. So very cool. Well, thanks, guys. That's really good information. I really appreciate you delving into the Disney dining plan. And, I'm thinking about, maybe we should look into it for our
Definitely,
next
yeah.
Walt Disney World vacation. Thinking I can, wow, that food and all those snacks.
Right.
Sounds good. We
I
like to
think you
eat
guys
when
would enjoy it.
yeah, we like to eat when we're at Walt Disney World. So, yeah.
Right.
So before we let you guys go, we really appreciate your time with us
Yes.
today, especially on this evening, taking your time, since we're on different time zones here so far away. Tell the listeners where they can find, again, I know it's on YouTube, but why don't you spell it out for them so they can track you down really easily, and also where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just search on YouTube for Young Adventures, you should be able to find us, and you'll see our picture. And we definitely love you to watch our videos and give us some feedback, some comments, or anything like that. And we're also on Twitter. If you search for Young Adventures, you should be able to find us. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys tag along with what we're doing.
You won't regret watching their videos. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we'll put all the information in our show notes as well, so you can easily track it down and stuff. So, but yeah, this has been great. We always love connecting with you too. It's just always a great time, and hopefully we can get it back out there to Walt Disney World sometime soon and get all together and have some more fun at the parks as we've had in the past. We always have a great time with you.
Right. And we'd also love to have you all back on again for, kind of more like a game topic, maybe involve kids.
Yeah. We'll love to get kids on.
Absolutely.
That'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll definitely do that sometime in the very near future. We'll plot on that. And just rather than just more of a strict informational topic, just, let Michelle put on her game show host hat again and we'll have a good old time.
That sounds awesome.
But again, this is really helpful information. I know a lot of people are going to listen to this and really be thankful that you really provided some structure to what this is and great ideas to consider in doing it. And you definitely educated us. So like Tom said, now I'm really like, we got to plan a trip around the Disney dining plan. That's awesome.
Now, if they just get Victoria and Albert's on the Disney dining plan, we'd be go.
16 credits.
That's the super mega unbelievable deluxe plan, right? Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us on the show. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to connecting with you guys and having you back on the show very, very soon.
Sounds great. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
But yeah, there it is again. The Fat Boys making another appearance on the Hyperion Adventures podcast.
Can't wait till next week and find out the new songs you're going to pick. You're really up in your game, honey.
I already have next song planned, and I think you're going to specifically love the next song for next week's theme. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. By the way, I mentioned earlier that thing we dropped on Friday. I hope you all enjoyed our thing that we put together with all the other Disney podcasts doing Go the Distance. I know that most of us on that thing that on YouTube, and if you haven't looked it up, please check it out. I know most of us, we're podcasters and not professional singers for a reason, but we all had a lot of fun, and I think it was a great message, don't you think?
I think it was a great message. It was a wonderful idea that you came up with. Great concept, and I think the words that you applied to that song were very touching. It was one of those, it certainly can either cheer you up or give you goosebumps or something like that. But also want to echo what you just said. We really appreciate the other podcasters who participated in it. It wasn't necessarily easy, and we didn't give you all a very long timeline, and yet you did it with joy and fun, and you made our lives better and fun as a result of that, as well as being able to have that nice message to share during this difficult time.
Yeah, really appreciate them going out of their comfort zone, just as we kind of went out of our comfort zone. Yeah. We are not singers, even though every once in a while I will break into song in this podcast. You've heard me sing if you've listened to the show before. I'm not very good. So
no, you're good. And I did want more practice. More rehearsal.
I don't know if any more rehearsal would have helped me, and maybe you, but I don't know if it would have helped me. But there were some people on that actually sang pretty well.
Yeah,
there were some others as well,
there,
including us, but we all put it together. It was all good fun. Hopefully you watched it. Hopefully it made you smile. Hopefully you got a good chuckle out of it, maybe at our expense, but that's fine. We're willing to laugh at ourselves. But hopefully more than anything else, it's a thought of hope for what will be coming in the near future once all this craziness settles down. We're all looking forward to getting back to where we belong.
That's
which is,
right.
of course, the Walt Disney World Resort, the Disneyland Resort, Disney Cruise Line, whatever the case may be. Right. So let's get to our Disney stories of the week. I have a few for you this week. Mostly revolve around the fact that we're staying at home. Some interesting things to kind of help you out or watch or whatever to pass the time coming up here. I'm going to start with the fact that we all know that the little ones are around the house much more these days. And, they may be getting a little more wound up. They're not getting outside. They're not getting out as much as they used to. Well, if you're having a tough time getting them to bed, Disney is now offering something that just might help that fact.
I know it.
This straight from the Disney Parks blog. ShopDisney.com has announced the return of its beloved Disney bedtime hotline to help bring a little pixie dust to fans and families everywhere. This is a lot of fun. Fans can hear messages from favorite Disney characters before falling asleep, all from the comfort of home. Parents, all you have to do is simply call 1-877-7-MICKEY for one of the 5 special messages for your little ones or for us big little ones.
I know, right?
From Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck. I don't even understand what Donald says. Daisy Duck or Goofy. I think this is so great that they're bringing this back for this kind of time when things are just a little tough right now. And this is just a great note for people to finish out the night, for their little ones.
Right. The word that I thought of when I heard the story is just sweet. That it's just really sweet and something, like you said, just a little bit of pixie dust at the end of the day to, go off to dreamland.
Yep, exactly. So the toll-free hotline will run only for a limited time, though. So be sure to make your call before the end of the month. It ends on Thursday, April 30th at midnight Pacific time. It's available. I'm sorry for all of you internationally who listen to our show. Unfortunately, it's only available in the United States, and you can only get one message per call. They don't say you can't call multiple times, but you're not going to get all of these characters talking to you in one call. If you're, they also have some other ideas for entertaining at home, including free downloadable sleep content activities to create magic moments with Disney. You can check those out at shopdisney.com/bedtime hotline. So, and that's also if you want to look up the number and everything too, if you don't remember it or didn't write it down from here.
Right.
So.
I'm hoping to get our phone call.
Yeah. To do it. By the way, it's another thing that, and this could, I guess, be technically an early tip. If you're ever going back onto a Disney cruise, you can schedule an announcement that they'll call you. One of the characters will call you and announce to like maybe you're surprising your kids or whatever the case with a Disney cruise or your loved one, whatever your special, significant other, whatever the case may be, you can surprise them and have them call and they'll tell you, hey, you're going on a cruise or whatever. It's kind of fun. So
yeah, I mean, that is a great extra tip there, honey. And the way that works is you can schedule it, weeks in advance and things. So it's really special.
Yeah, Michelle's done that for me quite often. And I think she's done it for herself too. I mean, they have them call me and remind me I have a cruise coming up. So, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, maybe, definitely. Moving on here. If you enjoyed The Mandalorian, well, we have some more good news for you. This straight from StarWars.com. This May the 4th, also known as, of course, Star Wars Day. A brand new series debuting on Disney Plus will take everyone behind the scenes of the first Star Wars live action series, The Mandalorian. Of course, this year fans can look forward to the highly anticipated conclusion of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. By the way, this week's episode, amazing.
Wow.
Loved it so much. So good. These last few episodes of The Clone Wars are going to be bananas. I can't wait to see how this series wraps up. Alongside the global premiere of the new 8-episode documentary series, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. So we have some interesting, more Mandalorian stuff to look forward to.
No, that it's such an amazing show. Fell in love with that instantly. And it sounds like a great lineup for Star Wars Day. I know we're trying to make our plans for our celebration, and I know that we're going to have an exciting show about Star Wars Day celebration. But yeah, this is very cool that they're going to be initiating this on Star Wars Day. Can't wait for it.
Yeah. Going back to this, and then I'll talk about our show coming up here in just a little bit. In Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, executive producer Jon Favreau invites the cast and crew to share an unprecedented look at the making of the series that quickly became a pop culture phenomenon after premiering last November. Each chapter explores a different facet of the first live-action Star Wars television show through interviews, never-before-seen footage, and roundtable conversations hosted by Favreau himself. Topics this season include the filmmaking process, the legacy of George Lucas's Star Wars, how the cast brought the characters to life, the series' groundbreaking technology, the artistry behind the show's practical models, effects, and creatures, plus the creative influences, the iconic score. By the way, the score is iconic in The Mandalorian, and connections to Star Wars characters and props from across the galaxy. So this sounds like it's going to be really great. I know that they've shown some things, like some still shots on social media and everything about how they kind of built the set. It's like, it was like almost a giant green screen around that they would put things on. It was really interesting. It was actually more like a digital, like it was not even a green screen. It was like a digital, like a giant flat screen TV that went all the way around the set. It was pretty crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember just before it launched, Jon Favreau was on CNBC and talking about the technology innovations that they used to create this to be, such high quality, such, almost movie quality technology to deliver an amazing product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an amazing product. If you haven't seen it, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you may actually like this show, because I don't think, yes, are there some callbacks to other Star Wars films and shows and everything? Of course there are, but I think it's very much a show that you can watch and know very little about Star Wars.
Right. I think those callbacks are almost just like Easter eggs, and they're not necessarily solidifying the storyline. And if you like westerns or spaghetti westerns,
yeah, especially.
This is the show for you.
Definitely. And we will be rewatching it again.
Yeah.
Rewatching again.
And again.
Redundant. Yeah. But it's really great show, and I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I want a
this
bedtime call from the Mandalorian.
Just call up and say, "This is the way." And then
Right.
hang up.
I know, right?
That'll be it.
I have spoken.
I'll put you to bed warm, or I can put you to bed cold.
Right? I guess we digress.
Yes. Anyway, speaking of this, so this is all revolved around Star Wars Day. Our Star Wars Day episode, it will be releasing actually a day or two before Star Wars Day, but it'll also happen to be our 100th episode. So we're very excited about this one. We're bringing on some very special guests, some really good friends of ours to talk about Star Wars. And since we're a Disney podcast, it's going to mash up with Disney parks. Michelle's going to put her game show hat on again. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And that's coming up here in a couple weeks, so we're really excited about that episode.
I can't wait for it. I wrote up all the things that we're going to be doing on that day. We have some amazing fun guests that everybody I think will really enjoy, and I know it's something I'm looking forward to. I can't wait. I can't wait to record it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's coming up here in just a couple more episodes. This is episode 98. Next week's episode 99, and obviously after that is 100, and that will also be a Star Wars Day. So
I'm glad you shared with everybody that you know how to count.
I know.
That's
well,
so sweet.
Sometimes people may wonder about me. That guy,
People do wonder.
He's pretty
about
dumb.
You,
He's
no,
pretty dumb.
You're just pretty.
Yeah, you're so pretty. As we digress even more.
Oh my God!
I
I think you need to do some editing.
Moving on. There's a couple more things coming to Disney Plus that'll be debuting soon as well. Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, the 1964 episode Disneyland Goes to the World's Fair, will debut on May 22nd. That's exciting. Yes. We were talking recently how we'd love to see more of the Wonderful World of Color going out. And, a lot of what happened, a lot of what Disneyland, and for that matter, Walt Disney World, was developed because of what they did with the World's Fair. This should be a really interesting look into what was happening during that time.
Right. If you're any kind of a history buff of, how attractions were evolving at that time, this is going to be amazing to watch. And even if you're not a history buff, just to appreciate the uniqueness that was happening at that time, that Walt really helped drive the change in how the attractions were going to actually have the technology to provide even more, whether you call it realistic or just more enjoyment than what other rides that were there in existence at the time. It really a nice enhancements.
Plus, the whole thing about this is that this was a way Walt Disney was genius. He got other companies to flip the bill to develop all these different attractions.
Right.
And this is something that he would develop, he would move forward with in a lot of different ways throughout the parks. And so he could, create these things and basically not have to spend really anything,
Right.
or a small amount, or if anything at all, to develop these brand new attractions. Just really, really cool.
Right. I mean, it really does highlight the genius that Walt Disney was. I mean, obviously, nobody's a perfect individual, but he really did have some amazing foresight of how to, create place where people wanted to be, people of all ages. And like you said, how he was able to really be on the cutting edge to say, okay, how can we do this and be a joint venture with other companies to help promote what they were trying to sell, but at the same time develop the technology and develop the attractions that could later be moved to Disneyland.
Yeah. Really cool. Yeah. I mean, two of the attractions still exist in Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
One was in Disneyland and is now in Walt Disney World.
Right.
So really, really cool. I'm looking forward very much when that debuts on May 22nd. Also, The Boys, the story of the Sherman Brothers, will finally, after, buying me teased for so long, is going to be released on May 22nd as too. So we're really looking forward to that. Also coming up, Artemis Fowl, which was originally scheduled to be released in theaters in August. That will be, they've told us the date now that will be debuting on Disney Plus. It'll be aboard there on June 12th. So, one more thing to watch.
Right.
We're expecting that to be in theaters. It's going to be on Disney Plus first. So just a few more things that you'll be able to check out while you're sheltering at home, watching, a little more Disney Plus.
That's right.
So that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation, whether it be to the Disneyland Resort, the Walt Disney World Resort, Disney Cruise Line, Run Disney, whatever the case may be. And of course, we always start with Michelle. One, because she's just fantastic, wonderful. Everybody loves her, but she always has the best tips as well. So let's get right to it. Here is Michelle's tip of the week.
Goodness, you're so sweet. So I tried to pull together a tip that would go along with Disney dining plan, since we were going to have these excellent guests join us today. So, and this really kind of pertains to if you're family and you're planning to have a stroller while you're at the park. One idea that you could do is, before your trip, is purchase one of those door organizers with the large pockets, that you can. You've seen them sometimes. You can hang them up on your door when you're traveling.
We can put shoes in them sometimes.
Exactly. So those that kind with large pockets, or if you have some mad craft skills, then create your own. But when you're at the park, then you can put that on the stroller handle, and then you can use that to hold everybody's drinking cup, like especially if you have your refillable mugs or if you have water bottles or whatever, you can hang them in those pockets on the stroller back. And that, can really help save you from having to either look in backpacks or tucked away inside the stroller, or everybody keeping track of their own or trying to carry it and, leaving it someplace because they set it down or whatever. So just to make it a little bit more convenient and fun, you can even decorate your little cup holder or mug holder and make it a little easier for you when you're on your next trip.
It can be a fun thing for your family to do as you're getting prepared for the trip, so they can be more excited. Not that you need to be more excited about a Disney vacation, but something to build into it is like, today we're going to decorate what's going to be our cup holder on the stroller, and you can have a lot of family fun with that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so Michelle always has the best tips. That is a great tip.
Thank you.
Now let's get to my tip, which is kind of really a recycled tip, because we've talked about this many times before. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it. I'm pretty sure you've talked about it at some point, and probably we both used them as a tip at some point.
Okay.
But that is the fact that, yes, we're talking about the Disney dining plan today, but one of the things you might also want to take into account when you go to the Walt Disney World Resort is the ability to actually have food delivered to your resort, to your hotel room where you are staying there, in case you want to, kind of cut down on some of those meals. If you're not going to do the Disney dining plan, it's something to weigh into the equation of whether you want to do it or not. Is like, how much will you dine in your room? Like, if you are staying in a regular resort room, generally there's at least a mini fridge in there. So maybe you can put some things in there, like, something that might be, a little milk with, for some cereal in the morning or whatever. So you can have a little breakfast, maybe some lunch meats, and you can get a loaf of bread or whatever, and a little mayonnaise or mustard or whatever you put on sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly, whatever the case may be, something that you can kind of use to fill in some of the gaps in these meals while you're out there. If you're staying at a Disney Vacation Club resort, then if you're staying at least a deluxe studio, you will have almost a kitchenette. So you'll get like a microwave, a toaster, a little bit larger refrigerator in there. So you can have even more that you can work with there as far as meals you can prep while you're there in your room. If you're going for a 1-bedroom suite or above, you're going to have a full kitchen, and if you're going to be using that many points or using that much money or whatever, it might be worth it to you to maybe cut down on a few of the meals, have some of this food delivered in, and then you can, I know part of being on vacation is you don't want to have to cook necessarily, but at times, if you can save a little money, if you can make things a little bit easier for your family, you can use these items that you have as part of your stay to just make, save yourself some money in other ways, making breakfast, making dinner, maybe go have lunch at the parks or at the resorts or whatever. And you can kind of enjoy it in a different way. It's not right for everybody, but there are these companies out there. I'm not going to name them here. We've named them in the past. If you want to go back to some of our past episodes, or if you want to email us, we'll talk about it. But they don't advertise with us, so we're not going to discuss them by name here. But if you want to do some research and you're thinking about adding this to your next Disney vacation, it's another piece of information that you can weigh in as you're trying to decide how you want to plan your meal structure for your next trip.
Absolutely. No, that is a great plan. You're right. It's not for everybody, and people think vacation, they don't want to cook. But just with your example of breakfast, to have easy breakfast, it could be a way that everybody's getting, some food ready before they actually go into the park. So you actually have you're kind of ready to go with your energy, and also maybe not using, whether you're using the Disney dining plan for breakfast or, not using that, can save you some money or save those credits for other things that, like your lunch or your dinner. And the other location that you do have a full kitchen is at the Disney campgrounds, at the cabins at the Disney campgrounds. That's right. Yeah, and so that is a great
mostly
tip.
Full kitchen. It's kind of like they don't have an oven, although the microwave is also a convection oven. But you do have a grill, which is kind of cool in each of the cabins.
And they clean it off for you.
Right.
So.
You just need to go get either have the little charcoal delivered or go pick it up at the general store.
Right. That they have there. Yeah.
Very convenient that way. Also, a lot of these DVC resorts and at the campgrounds, any place where they do have kitchens available for people, the shops, the stores that are there tend to stock better on items that you might be able to cook within these various different kitchens or kitchenettes. So that's one good thing to know too. Even if you're visiting a resort that does have DVC, maybe you're not staying there, you can always go into those and purchase a couple things that you may be able to use within your resort, take it back to your resort and use as well. And another thing about this too is if, we all enjoy the snacks at Disney parks and whatever, but if you're looking for a few healthier snacks, and Disney's done a better job of providing healthier snacks, but let's be honest, if you're looking for some healthier snacks, maybe when you get back to the room or whatever for the little ones or for yourselves, having some of that delivered in, you can get some more fresh fruit and, salad stuff and whatever the case may be, that might be a little bit beneficial to you. But just one more thing, like I said, to put into the equation of helping you decide what's right for your next vacation meal-wise.
Right, definitely. And especially too, if you're going to be staying there, over an extended period of time, whether you're there, close to a week or whatever, it can really impact and cut down on some of those costs that, like you're talking about. And who wouldn't want like some healthy fruit to have to go along with our prior tip in the past of make sure you take a break during the day or a nap or whatever.
Yeah. I don't want healthy food, but I should have healthy food. So I do have healthy food, but I don't want to have healthy food.
Oh, yes, you do.
I want. Anyway, so that's it for this week. Next week, well, we're talking more food.
I know
we are
it.
going back to another one of our 5 favorite lists. And this time, it's going to be all about some of our favorite restaurants, but not just regular Disney restaurants. Our 5 favorite themed Disney restaurants. There are so many to choose from. This will be an interesting list to go through. We're looking forward to hearing what your favorites are as well.
Right, definitely. And let's see if the challenge will be, can I keep it down to 5?
No. No. I can already tell you that's a big fail right now.
But anyways, it's going to be kind of Back to the Future for us because we're actually doing it an episode just you and me.
Wow, really?
Yes.
No one's joining us?
No one's
You
joining
sure?
us. Well, for the time being. The plan is.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's going to be back to just the two of us talking about our 5 favorite themed Disney table service restaurants. There are lots of quick service and some other things, but these will be table service restaurants.
Or will they?
Oh boy, here we go. It's already starting and we're not even to the episode yet. So expect more of that next week. We look forward to that. And we appreciate you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there, why don't you just go ahead and sign up for the newsletter?
You won't regret it. You'll love it.
I would hope that will love it.
Yes, definitely. And also, we really appreciate if you could take a moment to give us some feedback, either star ratings or a review. And best of all, tell a friend.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to let anybody know that you enjoy this podcast. They think that they might be interested in this show. Is just tell your friends about it. And hopefully then they'll tell their friends. And we'll grow this great Hyperion Adventures family. And another way to help connect with us is on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, you can always email us at HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Definitely a good idea. Let us know how things are going, and we love to hear from you.
We always love to hear from our listeners just like you. And thank you for listening to the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.